All manufacturers were well aware that they had serious side effects, and all of them took steps to hide that information.
Witness the betrayals.
To make patients out of normal children for profit.
$69 billion, $130,000 a second.
Is not only anti-scientific, it is contrary to our Hippocratic oath.
The fear.
Had I been told that 4 out of 100 children die on an antidepressant, you can damn well be sure that my child never would have been on one.
Critics say Generation RX is shocking, incendiary, a jaw-dropping emotional ride, a must-see tale of criminal conspiracy.
Everything is incentivized to label children as ill.
How far are we willing to go to exert control over our youth?
See Generation RX and wake up to the nightmare.
Well, hello everyone. It's great to be back here at Spurs. So many happy memories for me. Anyway, tell me something. What is this 10-10 thing the club is doing?
Well, it means that we're trying to cut our carbon emissions by 10% this year, and Tottenham Hotspur Football Club was the first to sign up.
We've changed the floodlights at White Hart Lane, so they're low energy. Lots of our fans are coming to matches on buses, trains, bikes and stuff, rather than coming by car.
I see. Whatever, I wouldn't do it. It seems like distraction from football to me.
That's just fine, David. You don't have to join in, just ignore it. No pressure. Right, lads, let's do some penalties.
I took the 9mm automatic, sat down on the bed and put the gun to my head, and I blew a 4-inch hole out the back of my arm instead of my head. Prozac did this to me. Had someone looked further into Prozac, believed me, even mentioned early on of the so-called remote possibility that Prozac could cause any of these adverse effects, especially the act of putting a loaded gun to my head, to want to die so violently, steps could have been taken to avoid it.
I had 2 sons, David Lee, age 8, Billy 16, the wife 20 years, all gone. I'll tell you why. After being on Prozac for 21 days, my wife shot and killed both of these 2 boys right here. She turned the gun to herself and shot herself twice.
The second time that she was placed on Prozac, she secretly purchased a gun on August 25th. She shot herself in the head and died on August the 27th.
This is hard for me because I tried to commit suicide in front of my 5 children. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't remember exactly what happened. All I know is that my husband took the gun away from me and my children was looking from the other room. If my husband wasn't there, I wouldn't be here. My children wouldn't have a mother.
One woman earlier spoke of nearly committing suicide in front of her children. My sister did commit suicide in front of Lindsay. Another woman spoke of hollow point bullets. That's what my sister used to do it. My sister would have never killed herself in front of this little girl. She would have never done that. Prozac induced her to do that.
I attacked him with a kitchen knife. Luckily, he's bigger and stronger than I am, and he defended himself. But I did this right in front of my son. I thought, I can't believe what I'm doing. I don't believe what I'm doing. This is wrong. Then I decided that I was going to kill myself.
The bottom line is, I was never suicidal before taking Prozac. I was obsessed with suicide while taking Prozac, and the obsession stopped immediately after I stopped taking Prozac.
Unfortunately, with my dad, we didn't have time to notice too many changes, except that he became withdrawn and agitated. But by that time, it was too late. He got up
at 9 o'clock in the morning, took a 12-inch butcher knife out of the kitchen drawer and stabbed himself violently in the abdomen once, and then proceeded to do it twice.
By the 14th day, I was experiencing such intensified fear that I could not stand to face life as it was for me anymore. There was, to my mind, no hope and no future. Where suicide had never been a logical solution for any reason for me, it now became my only solution because I had nothing left with which to fight, and I was terrified to go on living.
This drug is most assuredly responsible for any torment or suffering and the eventual suicide of my husband.
I was totally out of control. My friends were aghast at my deteriorating mental state, but were afraid to speak to me about it because of my agitated state of mind. During this time, it is a miracle I did not harm myself or others. I had become a menace to society, and that FDA is allowing this to happen. I want to know why. How many more people are going to be killed and maimed before you do something? You have the power to change things. You have the power to listen to what we say and investigate what we say. We need help.
Class action waivers have been granted to the following members: K-Mean Lin for his interest in Merck, Jeffrey Lieberman for his interest in Sandoz, Robert Hammer for his interest in Bristol Myers Squibb, James Claghorn for his interest in Sandoz and SmithKline Beecham, David Dunner for his interest in Sandoz, Burroughs Wellcome, American Home Products, including Wyeth Labs and A.H. Robbins, Eli Lilly, Pfizer, Ciba-Geigy, Warner Lambert, including Park Davis, SmithKline Beecham, and Bristol Myers Squibb.
I'll ask the committee to vote on the following statement. There is credible evidence to support a conclusion that antidepressant drugs cause the emergence and/or intensification of suicidality and/or other violent behaviors. Those in favor of that statement vote yes. Those opposed to that statement, no. And Dr. Dunner has left a proxy which makes a unanimous of 10-0.
When you open up a can, you may not notice the lining inside, but believe it or not, that lining may contain a synthetic estrogen. That's right, a sex hormone, and it's in almost every single can we consume. As part of a Fox 5 investigation, we decided to have some of the cans of food you eat every day tested, and wait until you see the results.
This could be your table any day of the week. A delicious plate of pasta, topped with tomato sauce, some hearty soup, a tuna fish sandwich, a side of green peas. Food that millions of Americans consume daily. But wait until you see what could be inside your food.
This is a chemical that the people who put it into plastic were insane.
His name is Dr. Fred Vom Saal. He's a professor of biology at the University of Missouri. You may not know his name, but you probably know his work. He recently created a huge uproar within the scientific community after releasing a study on plastic baby bottles and the controversial chemical many of these bottles are made with, called bisphenol A.
This is a chemical that in 1936 was considered for use as a estrogen drug. Then in the 1950s, some tricky chemists found that they could link this chemical together and it creates a hard, clear, glass-like plastic.
And this glass-like plastic is sprayed into cans we buy every day.
The only problem with that is the plastic is then made from a sex hormone.
And it's virtually in every can of food we consume. And according to Dr. Vamsal, bisphenol A is a big problem because he says it leaches into the foods we eat.
And when you heat this plastic or put tomato sauce in it, the acid degrades the plastic, and then the food that's in there is full of this sex hormone.
Dr. Vamsal says they have tested bisphenol A in animals, and the results are disturbing.
We started testing it at levels tens of thousands of times below what anybody had ever tested before, and found that it profoundly damaged the male reproductive system. Now we know causes brain damage, and it causes breast cancer and prostate cancer.
So we decided to do our own tests of common foods we eat every day. We went to different grocery stores and purchased tomato sauces, soups, peas, tuna fish, as well as plastic containers and food wraps. We then sent them all to Dr. Vamsal's lab in Missouri for testing.
The food was removed from the cans. The cans were all cleaned, washed multiple times with water, allowed to dry, and then we put ultra-pure water in the cans to determine how stable the lining of the can was when just faced with water being in contact with it for 24